Society worships Saturn. What do you mean, Saeed? Saturn is a freaking rock in the skies. Why would people worship a rock in the skies? My neighbors don't worship Saturn. My parents don't worship Saturn. I'm not aware of anybody that worships Saturn. You're just talking out of your ass. Okay, I'm going to prove to you why I'm not talking out of my ass. So, let's start off with the concept of worshiping a planet and worshiping a star. Why would people do that? Why would anybody do that? And if you stick with me in this video, I'm going to show you that people have been doing this for thousands of years, and virtually every religion out there and philosophy and everything is rooted in some kind of planetary star worship. I'm going to prove that to you. It's very easy, actually. So planets and stars have a soul, a consciousness, in the same way that you and I have a soul / consciousness. It's pretty easy for you as a human with your human perception to recognize that a fellow human being has a soul / consciousness. Pretty easy, right? Like, pretty easy, right? It's pretty easy. You can recognize that. Most people can universally recognize and see in their fellow human beings a soul, a spirit, a consciousness. And that's just a human being with a limited perception. What if I was to tell you, and that's, believe me, I'm not onto some kind of marvelous discovery here. This is pretty standard operating procedure. But what if I was to tell you that planets and stars have a soul / consciousness / spirit just as much as you and I, and just as much as that squirrel that I'm looking at, and just as much as the lion, and just as much as an animal, and even as much as a tree? But think about it. If your soul, spirit, consciousness is incarnated inside a planet or a star, you are far more powerful in that body. Think of it like it's a body. You're far more powerful than a mere human being. Human beings are very powerful, but we're still like limited. We have a lot of limitations. We're definitely more powerful than your average animal, right? But think of like a planet. Like imagine your soul leaves your human body and incarnates in the sun, or incarnates in the moon, or incarnates in a star. Think about how much power you would have. Like, look at the earth. Look how intelligent the earth is. Imagine your soul incarnated inside the earth. Your perception is so much more expanded. Like, you have way more power. You have way more power and awareness and intelligence than if you're in a human body. And that's how it is. So it turns out that planets and stars have souls and spirit, consciousness, and people have recognized this for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years, and they've recognized that these beings hold a lot of power, and for one reason or another, they've taken on the worship of these planetary and star bodies. So, now, back to the original. So I wanted to just kind of give you that perspective, so you're not thinking, well, this is crazy talk. It's not crazy talk. Okay, so people have been doing this for thousands of years. In this current time period, and for at least a few thousand years, the planet that has been worshipped, adored, and appeased to by the majority of humanity happens to be Saturn. And the word Satan, which is in the Bible, comes primarily from the Bible, is in reference to Saturn. But most people don't know it. So, let's take a look at Saturn, right? Saturn has the rings, right? Saturn has the rings, and it has, by the way, a really demonic sound. And you can verify everything I'm telling you here by doing research. Just keep researching, go to Google, research, and YouTube as you're watching this video. Go on YouTube and type Saturn sound. It's fucking demonic. Like, it is demonic. It is from a horror movie. And so the majority of human society is worshiping Saturn. And as it turns out, this Saturn being is not a very nice guy. He's kind of an asshole. Just like he's described in all the scriptures. In Buddhism, he's called Mara. In the Bible, he's called Satan. You know, he's everywhere. Everyone knows about this character, and they're not very fond of him. And his most redeeming quality is deception. He deceives, right? So he's deceived humanity into thinking that he's God. All right. So let's go back to what Saturn is. Saturn's got the rings, right? And that's where Tolkien got the idea to name Sauron, which is again just like a very similar name to Satan. He got the idea to make him the Lord of the Rings because it's based on Saturn. Because Tolkien was a very intelligent person, and I'm sure he's made those connections. And he didn't just randomly refer to Satan or Sauron as Lord of the Rings. And so if you look at the North Pole of Saturn, you'll see a hexagon, right? You'll see it. You can, again, look at, just type North Pole of Saturn. There is a hexagon, which is it's got 6 sides, right? And that symbol has evolved over the years to become the cube of Saturn. And you can do research on Google, type the cube of Saturn, and you will see this cube everywhere in society. Everywhere. So when I went to New York back in like 2012, I went to the 9/11 memorial, and I didn't know any of this at the time, but when I went there, there was a cube there, a black cube, and I was there with my friends, and like, I was like, what? It was funny. I was like, why is there a cube there? You know, I didn't know about all of this, right? But like, it was just very odd. Why is there a cube there? So there was a cube there, a black cube. It is like in so many places, like of prominence. It is like, just just go and do research on it. It is like in a lot of, like, in front of like certain like institutions, government institutions, and it is also the Kaaba, which is literally in Arabic means cube, in Mecca. We'll talk about that in a second. It is also on the hats that the Jews wear when they pray. What's the hat called? Tefillin or something, right? Tefla. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's a cube thing there. It is the graduation hat. You know, it's resembles a cube. Yeah, man, it's everywhere. The cube is everywhere. Now the cube is got 6 sides, 6 corners, and 6 edges, and that's where the number 666, the number of Satan, the number of the beast, comes from. It comes from the cube of Saturn, because Saturn is Satan. Saturn is Satan. It's very, once you start to look into the rabbit hole, it becomes as clear as the sun. And the Saturn being is a soul, a very troubled soul, an evil soul, and he wants to rule over the earth. He considers the earth to be his domain, and he's not a very nice guy, and he doesn't rule with love, he rules with fear. He rules with fear. So, if you go back thousands of years ago, the early Middle Eastern peoples, the Canaanites and the Phoenicians, they worshipped gods, and they would do child sacrifice to these gods. So they go by different names. The most popular one is Baal. You know, there is Moloch. There are many different names, but that over and over again, that particular deity would ask for child sacrifice and would ask for sacrifices of all kinds. So animal sacrifice, we'll talk about the Bible in a second, animal sacrifice, human sacrifice, child sacrifice, circumcision. We'll talk about that in a second, okay? So let's talk about different ways in which people worship Satan, which is Saturn. I'm going to use these two words interchangeably here. So one way that people worship this the Saturn, Satan, is through the way society is structured. Because Saturn is the planet, the energy that emanates from Saturn is the energy. It's a cube. What does cube do to you? Limits you. You know the term "think outside the box," because that's the box, the cube. The cube of Saturn is the cube of limitation. So all the limitations that people have in their belief system, the way they brainwash people with the education system and so on and so forth, it's all the cube of Saturn. It's all the cube of limitation. It's the box, and people don't think outside the box. So yeah, Saturn is also the energy, the planet of structure. So the whole 9 to 5 structure of society is Saturn worshipping. Exactly. Even people who are atheists, even people who don't prescribe to any religion, even people who are like secular and they don't, they don't care about all that stuff, they're worshiping Saturn. They just don't know it. When they get up every day from Monday to Friday, and they go and they go to their work from 9 to 5, they go and they clock into the cube of Saturn. Now they're in the limitation. Now they're in the matrix. And yeah, so like it eats up their, because like Saturn, by the way, is Kronos in Greek mythology. And what does Kronos do? Kronos devours his children. And that's what Saturn does. Saturn devours his children. He considers the people here to be children, but he's a very terrible father. Like, he's an asshole. And he treats his children like shit. He beats them up, he devours them, he eats them. He's just a terrible guy overall, right? Nobody's really fond of him once they get to know him. Except for a select few people. We'll get to that in a second. So yeah, the people who are, plugged into the matrix, into the 9 to 5, wage slavery, rat race system, which happens to be everybody in society. I traveled the world. Everybody's caught in the same system. Everybody's caught in the same system. Like, I've been all over the world. I'm telling you, they're all caught in the same system, regardless of their religion, regardless of if they're atheists or whatever. So that's how society worships Saturn. They're in his cube, in his system, in his matrix, and he eats up their energy, because Saturn and his minions, they require the pain and suffering of human beings, animals, to stay alive, to feed off of that energy. It's called Lush, whatever, as many names. So that's one way in which people worship Saturn. Another way is through religion. So let's talk about religions. So we'll talk. I mean, the world's two biggest religions numerically would be Christianity and Islam, and then Judaism is right up in their alley, the Abrahamic religions. Let's talk about those. Those are ways in which people worship Satan. And let's start off with Judaism, because Judaism is sort of birthed the other two Abrahamic religions. Now, Judaism is so painfully, obviously Saturnic. They're worshiping Saturn. Yahweh is Saturn, but what do we know about Saturn? Saturn is the deceiver. He deceived the biblical Israelites, and I say biblical Israelites because the modern Israelites are so removed from the biblical Israelites. So he deceived the biblical Israelites into thinking that he is the one true God, which is the God, love and forgiveness and tolerance, etc. He deceived them, man. Like, he straight up deceived them. And they bought into it. So, first thing he tells them is, you gotta mutilate the penises of infant babies, which is circumcision. And they said, all right, we'll do it, your God will do what you want. But in reality, that's a sacrificial ritual, bro. Like you're mutilating the poor little penis of an infant baby. That's sick. That's so sick. That's satanic. That's Saturnic. That's Saturn. That he Yahweh deceived the biblical Israelites into thinking that. So it started off with circumcision, and then if you look at the Old Testament, you can verify this for yourself. Go and ask ChatGPT, how many times is the word sacrifice or sacrifice of something mentioned in the Old Testament? It's something like 400, 500, 600 times, and a lot of it is animal sacrifice. So the ancient Israelites, the biblical Israelites, were always constantly every day they would sacrifice lambs and animals and all kinds of things. And it got to a point where Yahweh, Satan, told the Israelites, or told Abraham, right? Yo, Abraham, you're gonna have to fucking sacrifice your son. What was it? Ishaq or Ismail? I can't remember which one. I think there's different narratives. I think the Muslims say he wanted to sacrifice Ishmael, but I think it's Isaac in Judaism. I'm not too sure about that, but what I know for sure is that he asked them, Yahweh, Satan, he asked the Israelite, Abraham, to sacrifice his son. Do you really think a loving God, the God of love and forgiveness and tolerance, the creator of beauty and the ineffable, and do you really think he would ask one of his children to sacrifice and kill his son for no good reason other than to appease him? Come on, and then he showed his mercy by telling him, you don't have to do it anymore. You could just sacrifice a lamb. Like, that's much better. Why would you? Poor lamb. Let the lamb. I mean, it's one thing if you're eating the lamb for food. I don't advocate eating of animals, but it's one thing if you're doing it for survival, especially if you're a desert person. You at the time, you ain't got nothing growing. It's understandable. It's another thing to sacrifice it just to appease to the God. Like they wouldn't. I don't even think they would eat these lambs half the time. It's just a sacrifice. Like it's the blood. It's a blood sacrifice. We'll talk about the way in which the ruling class directly worship Saturn. That's gonna be probably towards the end of this video. Another thing, look at how jealous Yahweh is. He's always talking to the Israelites and saying, don't worship anybody but me. Don't worship anybody but me. Like, he's so jealous and insecure because Satan is so jealous and insecure. He's so jealous, and that Saturn is like a freaking. He's so insecure, man. He's so insecure. He's so butthurt. So when you read the Old Testament, it's so obvious that Yahweh is Satan, Saturn. It's so plain. It's so obvious. It's so obvious, and that's why. I talked in the last video about Israel being pure evil. That's why people who follow Judaism word for word, the folks that really take it to heart, they are all into killing the Palestinians because they don't care. That it's in their book. It's literally like in their book. This is our land, and you may fight and kill and kick off anybody. It's like, because it's all satanic, bro. Like the Torah. Yeah. Of course, it's got good stuff in it. You always have to put truth in there. Otherwise, people won't follow it. You always have to appeal to the goodness in people's heart, because most people are good deep down, right? You have to appeal to them. You give them truth, some laws, and you tell them to be good to one another, etc., etc. But like, it's all serving a bigger purpose, which is ultimately to do all these rituals: the blood sacrifice, animal sacrifice, circumcision, child sacrifice, etc. So it's very obvious. I don't think I need to go any further into it. This is why the Jews, they wear the cube thing. They don't know it though. They don't know it. They don't know it. Most people don't know they're worshiping Saturn. Jews don't know. Most Jews don't know that, but they're worshiping Saturn. Now, here's another thing. When do the Jews rest? They rest on what? The Shabbat. Shabbat, right? Go on Google and look up what does the word Saturn mean in Hebrew. Go ahead right now. What does the word Saturn? What is the Hebrew word for Saturn? Guess what? It's Shabbatai. It's Shabbat. So, bro, they're resting. And like, this is the worship day. This is where they're not working, they're not doing anything. On Shabbat, on Saturn's day. Saturn's day. Are you guys making the connections now? Am I beginning to prove my point to you? How society worships Saturn? Saturday. What do we do on Saturday? What are people brainwashed to do on Saturn's day? They literally just removed an N. It's Saturn's day. What do people do on Saturn's day? What are they brainwashed to do on Saturn's day? They're brainwashed to do all kinds of demonic things. Go out to the bar, get drunk, fight people, go and catcall girls and have sex with randoms, and all kinds of nasty things, bro, are happening in a lot of the society. Certainly Western society, they're happening on Saturn's day. All of that is feeding energy to Saturn on Saturn's day. Meanwhile, the Jews are worshipping on Shabbat, which means Saturn, literally means Saturn. They're worshipping Saturn, and they think they're worshipping Yahweh. The one true God, Yahweh, is Saturn. So that's Judaism for you. There's many things I can go on, but it's very obvious, should be very obvious to anybody with a brain that religion is satanic at its very core. It should be very obvious, okay? Like I said, there's good things. There's going to be good things in every religion, but that's how they appeal to the goodness in you, and then they sort of, they hook you and they brainwash you, and then you're now, see, like, you're thinking in a Satanic way, and your actions and rituals and blood sacrifices and even what you do on Saturn's day, it's all worshipping Satan. Let's talk about Islam, and we'll talk about Christianity after. I'm holding off Christianity for a reason. Islam. Ooh, okay. So if you look at Islam, Uncle Momo, ho, he plagiarized Judaism. This is why I use Judaism first. He plagiarized Judaism. First of all, there were a lot of Jews that fled the Roman persecution in Arabia, so he had a lot of contact with Jews in Arabia, and he learned from their books, and he copy-pasted a lot of the Talmud and a lot of the Torah. This is common knowledge to anybody that knows enough about Islam and knows enough about Judaism, and it's pretty easy to make the connections. So right off the bat, he just copy-pasted a lot of the things from a satanic belief system, a satanic cult, straight up. So that right there and then. But the black man, the Kaaba, the black cube, bro, that's probably the what happens in Mecca at the black cube. That's probably the most blatant, obvious, in your face worship of Saturn that goes on in this entire planet. They're literally going around like the rings of Saturn, literally this is the most blatant example of Saturn worshiping, and Muslims don't know this. My father is a devout Muslim. He's not satanic inside. He's a good, cute guy, man. My old man's a cute, lovely. He's got a lovely heart. Talked to him yesterday. He's a beautiful guy. But he doesn't know that he's worshiping Satan. And unfortunately, that seeps into his belief system. So my father, I'm sorry to say this, but part of him, when he sees I hope he's not watching this video. I love you, Dad. I don't think he is. I don't think he watches my videos. But like when he, for example, he'll see that other people are being bombed, but let's say they're not in his side, like they're not Muslims, they're not like, in his side. Again, they're not Sunni Muslims because he's a Sunni Muslim and he's like pretty hardcore. He is kind of apathetic about them. Like he doesn't see in his mind that these are human beings getting killed. He kind of gets happy, if anything, and a lot of Muslims do. Okay, example. I don't want to target my old man. I love you, my old man. I love my dad. Let's just talk about, in 9/11. I was in Qatar. I was in Qatar in 9/11. I grew up there, bro. When 9/11 happened, because people there, they hate Americans. They hate the West, bro. People were so ecstatic and happy. They were giving out sweets. Everybody was like going to their neighbors and going to like their relatives. They were giving out sweets, like they were celebrating. They were celebrating a blood ritual, the massacre of innocent people. Oh, Satan. That's what I'm saying. They worship Satan, but they don't know it. They're not satanic inside of them, but they worshiping Saturn, and because they're worshiping Saturn, it reflects in their belief system and in their worldview. But inside of them, these people, like, they're not. Most people are not like that. They're not satanic, but they're worshiping Satan, and some of their actions reflect that. So but like again, tawaf around the Kaaba is like they're literally mimicking the way the rings of Saturn. Like they're going around like the rings, and then there's the cube of Saturn right in the middle. Kaaba literally means cube. And by the way, like there is a lot of suspicious things that happen there. I went to Mecca many times, and I remember it because the last time I went there I was 13, so I was like old enough to remember. Bro, there's like so many people stealing people's like slippers. We used to carry slippers with us, like you wouldn't just put them randomly because they'd just be gone. They'd just be stolen. A lot of sexual harassment, a lot of people just groping women. Like there's a lot of nasty things that happen there, bro. Wouldn't surprise me because it's a Saturnic ritual. You're feeding energy to Satan, Saturn, and so that's gonna give rise to a lot of this stuff. Also, if you tune in right now, is Ramadan. It's a good time to tune in, especially now in the last 10 days of Ramadan. You'll see the sheikhs in Mecca, in Haram in Mecca. Yeah, they'll be like saying some crazy, nasty prayers, like God, please kill all the kuffars. Like, show us their blood. Show us, have no mercy on them. Kill them. Like, it's bro. It's so satanic. It's so crazy satanic what happens there. So that's one way Muslims worship Saturn, Satan, but like there's so many other ways in the religion, like so much violence, jihad. By the way, like Taliban and Qaeda and ISIS and all that, these guys are the true Muslims, bro. They're actually following exactly what like Uncle Momo ho told them to do. They're not extremists. They're actual Muslims because most Muslims don't actually follow Islam word for word, because if they did, they'd all be terrorists. Plain and simple. But like, yeah, I've made a lot of videos. I've made a lot of videos about Islam. I don't need to go too much about it, but it's pretty obvious. Like, yeah, it's a satanic religion. And like, what's the population of Muslims in the world? Like 20%, something, 25%, 30%, I don't know, something like that. Huge part of the world's Muslim, and it's growing because people keep popping babies. Muslims keep popping babies. So that's a way in which society worships Saturn. Judaism, Islam, and then Christianity. Now I want to leave Christianity at the end because Christianity is a little bit different. Because Christianity was supposed to be, in its original state, it was supposed to be the Savior. Jesus is the Savior. In its original form, in its purest form, it is actually the opposite of Satan worshipping. It is actually sun worshipping. The sun is the opposing force of Saturn. The sun is actually the opposing force that negates all the evil of Saturn. And Christianity started off as a sun worshipping religion, as a sun worshipping group of people. And Jesus is actually a metaphor for the sun. I think Jesus existed. Two things can be right at the same time. The Jesus' life mirrored the sun's journey, but also Jesus himself, I think, existed as a flesh, as a man. And he's our rising savior, just like the sun. And he had 12 disciples, just like the sun goes through 12 different signs. I'm going to make a separate video for the sun. Look out for my next video. But I'll briefly talk about the sun. So, Christianity started off as the opposite of that. And funny enough, if you look at the Old Testament and the New Testament, which are both part of the Christian Bible, it's like reading two different books, man. It's like two different gods. It's like Yahweh of the Old Testament is literally Satan. Like, you could see it. He's so jealous and insecure and constantly asking for sacrifices. Kill your son. Oh, no, okay. I'm going to be merciful to you. Now kill a lamb instead. And he's always asking. Now, if you go to ChatGPT and look up how many times did the God of the New Testament ask for sacrifice, any kind of sacrifice, I believe, if I remember correctly from my research, it's 0 times. And you can see that the God in the New Testament is like the opposite character. It's like two different beings. That's why like the Christian Bible is schizophrenic, right? Because it has the Old Testament, which is like all, like essentially Judaism in a nutshell. And then you have the New Testament. The New Testament's God is like a loving God, merciful. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's a guy you wanna definitely hang out more with. That's the Son, by the way. The Son. So in the same way that Saturn is Satan, the Son is the Son of God. Jesus is the Son of God. Even the word Son of God, the old, if you have to go back, Old English, which comes from Germanic languages, actually S-O-N is the Son. It's like, you have to go all the way back. So the Son of God, which is Jesus, is actually the Son. But it is not God itself, it's the Son of God. I'll talk about that in a future video about the Son. But anyways, Christianity still has the Old Testament. And so they're still worshiping Saturn, but it's kind of like a mix. That's why Christians, I personally prefer the company of a fundamentalist Christian that follows the Bible than a fundamentalist Muslim or a fundamentalist Jew, personally, because yes, even though there's still elements of the Old Testament, but they have also elements of the New Testament. But at the end of the day, what happened is Constantine, he wanted to consolidate his power, so he took Christianity, which by the way is like a lot of it, like even in the Jesus story, bro, look into Mithras, okay? Like the whole Jesus story has a lot to do with a lot of stories, similar stories that were around, which is all talking about the sun, okay? But anyways, Constantine took it, he institutionalized it, he banned the Gnostics, he banned the early Christians, which really had the good knowledge. They were really, on the good side. They were really, even Jesus in John 8:44, he's talking to the rabbis and Pharisees or whatever, and he literally told them, John 8:44, you can verify all this for yourself. Look up John 8:44. He's like, you are of your father the devil. He's telling them, your father is the devil, which is, he's indirectly referring to Yahweh. So the early Christians actually had the truth, and they actually came in and they wanted to end Saturn's rule and all these satanic rituals of Yahweh and all these gods that were constantly jealous, insecure, asking for sacrifices, etc. But then it got hijacked. Constantine, he institutionalized it. Then you had the Catholic Church. The word Catholic means universal. The Catholic Church was born, and they took it and they put in their satanic touches into it. And that's why the Catholic Church is full of pedophiles. Let's talk about another way, much more direct way of people that know they're worshiping Saturn. Because all the people I just talked about right now, most of them, my dad has no idea he's worshiping Saturn. He has no idea. But now let's talk about, let's talk about the people that know they're worshiping Saturn, and these are the same people that are infiltrating everything in society and putting all these satanic elements into it. It's the ruling class, it's these pedophiles, it's these Epstein people. I think it's common knowledge even to the person working at McDonald's now that there is a group of people that are ruling this world, that are pedophiles, that eat babies, they sacrifice babies. That's now become common knowledge, thank God, because me and other people were talking about this 6 years ago and we were called crazy. Now it's become common knowledge. These people are actually directly worshiping Satan, Saturn. They know it. That's why they're they use all these symbols. They put the cube everywhere, and I mean, even look at like BlackRock, right? BlackRock is like a company that basically owns like most of it just owns a whole ton of shit, right? BlackRock, and so they have all these like symbols of Saturn, 666. It's all over in society. It's in company logos. It's everywhere because these people know, they directly understand that we're directly worshiping Saturn, and they want the whole society to worship Saturn. So they will infiltrate. So they infiltrated Christianity. They infiltrated it, and they made the Catholic Church, and they controlled it. They infiltrated it, and they made it as ultimately, unfortunately, Christianity. It's got all these great elements into it, but ultimately still they follow a lot of the Satanic. They do a lot of Satanic stuff, let's just say. Okay? There are certain Christians, however, that intuitively do more of what Jesus said. The people who truly follow Jesus will not do the Satanic stuff, even if it's in their scriptures. Because let's be honest, all the Satanic stuff is in the Christian Bible. And certain people will follow more of the Old Testament route, certain people will follow more of the New Testament route. But most Christians are Catholic, and they'll follow anything that the Catholic Church tells them to do, aka a bunch of fucking pedophiles. A bunch of Saturn worshipping pedophiles. So ultimately, to your common folk, the common Christian is, again, in his heart, just like the Muslim and the Jew, is not Satanic inside of him, but he's still involved in Satanic rituals, and he's still doing Satanic things, but they just don't know it. But yeah, the people who are directly worshipping Saturn, like we said, is the ruling class. And yeah, folks. So you can see this. You can see that everyone's worshiping Satan. This is the Satanic matrix. This is the Satanic matrix. But hope yet remains. Hope yet remains so as long as the Son of God rises every day. And that's going to be my next video. So tune in for the next video as we discuss the Son of God, what the sun means, the history of sun worship, and what the sun symbolizes, and just to give you a teaser, the soul that is inside the sun is the complete opposite of that asshole that is Saturn. It's the complete opposite, like the complete opposite. Sun is a good guy. All right, take my word for it. If that means anything to you, Sun is a good guy, and I'm gonna prove this to you in the next video. Thanks for watching. This is a long video, but it needs to be a long video because this is an important topic. You have to realize what's going on. And I'll see you guys in the next video.